The official Hogwarts Legacy gameplay reveal showed off more than 14 minutes of gameplay footage, and there was no shortage of epic moments for longtime Harry Potter fans. So for today's video, we're going to go over the top 5 biggest reveals at the Hogwarts Legacy State of Play. Number 1, and there's no sense beating around the bush, guys, you already know the single most epic moment in that entire trailer, I think for just about any Harry Potter fan, was seeing that Avada Kedavra is in the game, at least in some form.
Be careful where you choose to explore, as it may lead you down a darker path.
Avada Kedavra! There's a lot we don't know about it yet. There's a lot of questions people still have about when you get it in the game, how often can you use it, is there some kind of cooldown meter, how is it going to work? But regardless of all those questions, after all this time, it is absolutely incredible to have it confirmed that it is in fact in the game. I know that is one that people have been wanting for a long time, not to mention the other Unforgivable curses as well. But the fact that they showed it near the end of the trailer, it really just felt like it had been building to this moment. They knew that was going to be a big reveal that was going to please a lot of fans. And I've tried to watch it multiple times. I want to see who they are casting it on, but it doesn't really show you. It's hard to see who they're hitting with that spell. Okay, whereas Avada Kedavra is something that everyone had specifically wanted. We really wanted that to be in the game. Number 2 kind of came as a bit of a curveball, and that is the Room of Requirement Menagerie. Not just the Room of Requirement, I think we knew that had to be in the game in some form, right? But the way they're handling it is in a very interesting way by having it almost serve as what appears to be like the hub for your missions and quests throughout the game.
A helpful house elf named Deke helps you discover vivariums that allow you to nurture your own menagerie of magical beasts.
What is it? Deke isn't sure. Only one way to find out.
You can freely customize this space to reflect your personality and magical specialties.
I mean, it looks like set up a house. You have pets in there. You can bring magical creatures back and nurse them back to health. And then if you also take a closer look from the outside here, you can see that there are other rooms, or I think they called them vivariums. Not gonna lie, I had to look that word up, and it means a terrarium used especially for small animals. So there you go. If you didn't know, don't feel bad. I didn't know either. But I think what's so awesome about this space is it really shows they heard the fans who were wanting this extra level of customization that, frankly, I never thought would be in the game. So this is one I think that nobody really saw coming. Yes, we saw the Room of Requirement, but having this whole sort of extra space that we can customize and nurse creatures back to health in is just something that I think is a great idea by whoever came up with that at Avalanche. All right, moving on to the next one, and this is certainly another long-time request of Harry Potter fans, and that is day and night cycles as well as seasonal weather. We're going to lump these two here in together.
As you explore, you'll find the world surrounding Hogwarts is alive with activity, wonders, and areas of unusual interest. As the school year progresses, dynamic seasons and climates will fill the sky with lightning or sunshine, or coat the ground with snow or rain.
One of the staples, not only of the Harry Potter movies, but also of the Harry Potter books, is the seasons that you go through within each novel. A lot of fans can point to specific holidays as pivotal moments in the series. I mean, just in the first book alone, you have Troll in the Dungeon. All that happened on Halloween. That Christmas is when Harry gets the invisibility cloak, and it was the absolute best Christmas of his life. He couldn't even believe that he woke up and had presents. And one thing the movies really did a great job of is showing the progression of each season, and it seems like the game is going to follow in those same footsteps. Now, here's the part I am most interested about, and I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this when it comes to the day and night cycles, and that is how long are they actually going to be? Most often in games they're going to be simulated, right? It could be an hour as a full day. But another reason that I'm a little bit more curious about this is because you think back to those Room of Requirement menageries that we were just talking about. In there you see there are some actual real world timers on some of those potions. At least it appears to me to be real world timers. Now maybe there are things we can earn throughout the game that are going to speed these up. I know as soon as people saw this, they really started worrying about microtransactions. Good news on that front, if you didn't know already, they have confirmed officially no microtransactions. Chandler Wood went to Twitter and said that, and then they also have updated the official FAQ, so no microtransactions in Hogwarts Legacy. However, that still leaves the question of, is this an actual real-world timer? Now, I don't want you to think that I'm suggesting the whole day-night cycle is tied to our real-world clock, similar to something like Animal Crossing, because I don't think they can afford to do that in a game like this. I think we're going to need to progress and go through multiple days much faster. However, I do wonder how they'll balance their day-night cycles with these seemingly real-world timers that we have here. Now, another thing I've also seen people talk about is that seasons almost has to be confirmation that we will be getting multiple school years at Hogwarts, rather than than just the 5th year, which is what I've kind of been thinking for a while now. Now, I actually love this line of thinking. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? Would you really want to program seasonal weather in for just having it change one time? But here's the tricky part, and it relates directly back to the day-night cycles. You see, they control how long these are. And so how long these days are really is what sets the overall length of the game, if you think about it. Because games have to find some way to show that progression of time without having you actually sit there through every single hour, every single minute of the day. Animal Crossing is a rarity in that. And then the other big thing we don't know about the day-night cycles is how do you progress them? So is it actually a timer and you're sneaking around the castle at night and you could actually run out of time? Like you could stay out all night and then morning starts to rise and you have to get to class? Is that how it works? Or is it similar to what the older games and even what some more current games have done in that you actually have to progress to the next day? So it will stay night for many real world hours if you want to, and then you choose when it's time to progress it. Is that how it works? And see, that's what I think is so interesting about this. How are they going to approach this? Because you think about a game like Breath of the Wild, Link doesn't have to worry about going back to a school to go to different classes that are set at different times throughout the day. He can just roam the world freely as much as he wants. So the sun rises, sun sets, it rains, it snows, and he's just running around. Doesn't matter. He doesn't have anyone else to kind of report back to, right? Whereas in Hogwarts Legacy, we do have that connection back to the school and these classes. I'm sure they'll handle it in a very elegant way. I just think that's a big question that we really still don't know the answer to. Regardless, I am super pumped, super excited that day-night cycles are in, as well as these seasonal weather changes. I think it's going to be fantastic for the overall feel of the game. All right, for the next one, let's jump back to yet another one that a lot of people were asking for, and that is customizable gear. They showed that shot in Hogsmeade of our character being able to go into different shops, purchase all sorts of different items, and then they showed this little sequence right here where we can see all this different gear that we can put on our character. This is something, again, that people have been asking for a while. Now, one thing they did not show that you guys are super interested in, and that is the idea of a customizable wand. Customizable wands, that is something I see so often in the comments, and I've just been going and responding to everyone saying, the wand chooses the wizard. It's not always clear why. But in all seriousness, I would like to see this. I wouldn't have a huge problem with it. I know it kind of would break the canon a little bit because of the fact that the way it works in the world is you really don't get to choose your wand. The wand chooses you. Now, maybe once you have the wand, I don't know if you want to like make certain carvings in it, if you want to like put little ribbons on it, if you want to paint part of it a different color, maybe those things they could figure out a way to work in there. Or maybe you have sort of like the base wand and then you can just customize things like the handle. I do think there are ways they could make it work and still stay relatively true to the Harry Potter lore. Okay, real quick, before we get to the last one, I have to give some honorable mentions because there were just so many epic moments for longtime fans in this gameplay trailer. I couldn't not talk about the house elves in the kitchens. I love seeing this shot. We've imagined this in our heads, but we've never been able to see it on screen because the movies did not include the house elves in the kitchen. So I love that they did this. I just want to go hang out in here and sit with these house elves and listen to what they talk about throughout the day. Maybe we can even get side quests and things from them. Another big one, the prefect's bathroom. They absolutely nailed this. You have all the fun little knobs. They even put the diving board in there. And then our final honorable mention is the house common rooms. They did a fantastic job with Gryffindor and Slytherin, but it's the Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff common rooms that everyone is talking about because of how little we have seen of them. We never saw them in the movies. In the books, Harry goes to the Ravenclaw common room, but the Hufflepuff common room, first time any of us ever seeing it. And I know a lot of the Hufflepuff folks out there were super pumped for that. So just seeing those common rooms, even though it was such a short glimpse, we could see the attention to detail. We could see how different and how true to each house they made those. So those three honorable mentions there, I just could not end the video without talking about them. And then last, but certainly not least, this one was not even mentioned in the gameplay trailer at all. This actually happened after the fact, and it was almost like they were trying to hide this. I don't understand why they didn't make a bigger deal about this, but that is the fact that Hogwarts Legacy is coming to the Nintendo Switch, guys. I made a video months and months and months ago about, hey, I wonder if they're going to actually not bring the games to last gen, if they're going to make this just next gen only, so drop the PS4 version. No. In fact, they're taking it a step further. They're going to say it's on anything and everything. PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, wherever you want to play. If you have a fairly recent gaming console console or one of the new gaming consoles or a PC, you will be able to play Hogwarts Legacy. In fact, if you're in the US, I know for sure that pre-orders have opened up. I'll put a link down in the description below. If you're in other parts of the world and interested in pre-ordering, keep an eye out because they have been popping up at various retailers. Now, as I always caution people, pre-ordering is entirely up to you. I am personally waiting because I am holding out hope that we get a collector's edition. But at this point, we don't know about that yet. So those, for me, guys, were the 5 biggest reveals. But I want to hear from you. What was your favorite reveal of the new gameplay trailer? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.